And welcome back, everyone, to GSA. We've got some Celeste Any Percent playoff action for you with the one, the only Noble Esports' TGH versus MooseSR. I am Electric. Here co-commenting this race with me is Espel. How are you feeling today? What are you thinking we're going to see in this playoff match?
I'm just excited to watch a lot of good Celeste. There's potentially like 4 hours of it or 3 hours of it or something. So I'm ready to watch a whole bunch of it and just see some people play it really, really well. How about you?
Yep. Oh, that's definitely what I'm looking forward to as well. Just when you watch Tej, he's certainly on just an insane level compared to basically everyone else that's speedrunning this game. And Moose can also really hold his own. His PB a 29-24, getting that nice sub 30 that really puts you in the real top tier of Celeste runners. But I'm just really looking forward to what's going to happen here. And unlike a lot of the other playoff matches where they've scheduled all three matches for separate days, both these players have agreed to do two of the matches today. So if the same player ends up taking both of those matches, which, as a little reminder for those that may not be familiar with the playoff setup, right now we're going to be entering match one. Match one will consist of a best of three races. So if someone wins two races right off the bat, then the match is over. They get the match win. But if the wins are split between the two, then obviously they'll have to go to the race three. And so what these guys have agreed to do is after that first best of three happens, they're going to go ahead and do the next match setup. And if the same person wins both matches, they've secured that spot in pace today.
All right. So we could potentially see one of the four semifinalists today who would be at pace live and in person today after this sort of marathon of Celeste here. So that's exciting.
Oh, yeah, definitely. And you can see how consistent that prologue is with both these guys still pretty well in sync directly afterwards as they go into the Forsaken City.
Yeah.
Tej already taking a small and early lead with some more optimized movement through that first screen.
He is, yeah. And so this is with it being the playoffs, pretty much these are like the top 8 people at least that were participating in the tournament. So for both of these people to get here is really exciting. For both of them. Well, maybe. I don't know. Maybe they're whatever about it, but I'm guessing they're pretty excited.
For certain, especially with the prize pool, the developer of this game, Map Makes Games, has actually donated, I believe it was like $5,000 to the prize pool of this game. So, Tej actually taking an early death, which puts Moose in a nice little lead. Let's see how long he can hold on to this. Kind of an interesting little room to take a death. You really... Oh, but Moose ending up taking one that puts Tej back in the lead. Moose taking double deaths in this room. You really don't expect a whole lot to happen in Forsaken City, so really unfortunate.
Definitely unfortunate. And you were asking the question, how long is he going to be able to hold the lead for? And the answer was like 3 seconds, 4 seconds?
Something like that. Maybe a screen.
Before he had double death, which sounds really intimidating, by the way, to experience that. As we see them both come in here to Chapter 2, Old Site. My personal favorite chapter, where we have these dream blocks that they can just, I don't know the word for it exactly, not float through, but just kind of go through. I'm trying to think.
It's like a swim dash almost.
Like, okay, so if I were to just like go through this whole thing of jelly, I don't know what verb I would use for that, but that's what they are doing over and over now.
I'd have to say, like, I mean, with how fast Madeline's going through, dash has to be involved, and I think swimming is an appropriate term.
Yeah.
I just love the aesthetic of this level, though. The, like, almost Aurora Borealis in the background with those stars falling down, and then the dream blocks with their little colorful sparkles and such. And then, of course, the ending here with the battle and chase and all of the movement involved. Everything here just fits together and flows so well.
It really does. It's definitely my favorite chapter, and I guess it's a good time to go into, for anyone who might not be particularly familiar with Celeste, a little bit of the tech. I'm sure a lot of people have heard this 20 different times, but for anyone who hasn't, so people are they're both flying through the screen here. The main thing that we use is hypers, which is just like holding down right or down left and dashing instead of just like straight dashing. And it just gives you a lot more speed. And if you stay on the ground for long enough, when you do it, you can jump and still keep your dash, which allows you to do a lot of different things. You can get over wide gaps. You can be in the air with your dash still and then dash down again to get even more speed, and just do that over and over, as you see here a little bit on the awake section, where they are hypothetically able to build up just a ton of speed. But those are really sort of the main ways. I know some people watching the speedruns for the first time, you just have this basic knowledge of like dash and jump and grab, and you're like, how are people going this fast?
Yeah, it's just the way the engine handles speed. It's the speed cap is a lot softer than a lot of other games, and so when you chain a lot of dashes together, especially the crouching dashes that we call hyper dashes, it really ends up building up just a ton of speed that you rarely see casually. As Moose ends up taking a death in this little dust bunny room, already starting the resort chapter about 10 seconds behind Tej. So definitely unfortunate to see. And also quick shout outs to Piranosaurus Rex for subbing at tier 2 for 9 months to the GSA channel.
Oh, wow.
He is now born anew, he says. So congrats to Piranosaurus Rex. Can we get some GSA fire?
So I feel like people often talk about having a baby with the channel, but in this, he seems to be discussing being the baby, which is
kind of an interesting little twist on the on the meme.
Yeah, no, that's solid. As we see TGH coming up on the huge mess section here.
Oh, and Moose just not able to get up on top of that wall for the grab, ending up going ahead and taking a death in here as well.
For sure. And this is often the chapter where we see one person start to pull away a little bit. Because the first 2 chapters can be relatively consistent. And we are seeing TGH pull away a little bit here. Not a ton, but probably, I don't know, I'd guess like 20 seconds or so. Maybe
something like that. Nowhere near insurmountable. I mean, they're not even really like I think they're maybe a sixth of the way through this run or something like that. So there's still a lot to happen in the future, and a lot of really, really hard strats and just generally difficult rooms.
Yeah, we'll see. So TGH hit this thing for the boxes crate section at 5:13. So we'll see when Moose hits it, and it'll give us a little bit of an idea. So yeah, about a 22-23 seconds at this point.
Yeah, Moose really holding his own against Tej. I mean, you know, Tej is just, if you've ever watched his stream, he's just absolutely insane at the game. And I think part of that is he really makes it a point to do a lot of no reset runs, which you find kind of uncommon with a decent number of world record holders and attempters. A lot of them try to go for, you know, just really, really optimized PBs, and if the mistakes accumulate just enough, they just go ahead and hit that reset button. But Tej has been doing no resets for I don't even know how long, and it started to really kind of show some results.
Yeah, and I think, well, you saw that for Flad for a long time. He had a point in time where he had done like 600 runs and had completed like 550 of them or 580 of them or something. And I know definitely, like, between Twitch rivals and then these tournaments as well, there's a lot of, I guess, incentive as, Moose makes a really save and gets through that. But there's a lot of incentive to do no resets and get good at just sort of like race settings.
Yep, and especially now with the emergence of these new professional racing organizations like GSA. It's certainly, GSA has really allowed a new type of speedrunner to thrive that isn't the, like, you know, inconsistent but really, really quick sometimes runner. It's the ones that have that consistency and just can really, really bring home a ton of really good runs.
Yeah, well, and so I don't know exactly because I know you've done some other games like Odyssey and stuff like that. Generally, here in Celeste, it's pretty much been like the same. Like I wouldn't say there's anyone necessarily that like is this super. Oh, as Teach takes a death right at the end of the screen, that was unexpected. Not
And definitely got to go ahead and shout out first try demo dashes for both of them, but Moose taking a little bit longer to set it up, just having trouble with the visual cue on that jump. But go ahead, sorry.
oh, as
Oh, but Moose takes a death on the Oshiro immediately.
But what I was gonna say is that in Celeste, there isn't really any like super inconsistent runner that would struggle a ton in the races, or some like not super well. Like pretty much all the people with the top times are the ones that do the best in the races as well. And we saw that more or less with like the Twitch rivals and everything too. I don't know if like in Odyssey or any of the other games that there have been, if it's a little different, where you have sort of these people coming out of nowhere who might not have the top times but are doing better in this sort of event.
Yeah, Mario 64 definitely has a number of those examples, and also the flip side of it of people that can get really really optimized times, but they're using strats that are just kind of inherently inconsistent. And so it's really really interesting to see the parallel, and also how Celeste is so dynamically different, and that all of the runners are aiming for that really high degree of consistency.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, there are certainly some. There's the. I guess you could look at like, well, Pabai a little bit or Phoenix. I think part of what it is with this is that there are so many different strats that if you can do these really difficult, inconsistent ones, it's not too much of a leap to just go and do these slightly more consistent ones that you can get. And so, like, if you're good enough to get these good ILs and everything, assuming you've practiced every chapter, you're probably good enough to dumb it down like 20% and get a really good any percent time.
Yeah, that's certainly a very very fair
how
point.
Celeste works.
Both these guys making really really nice work of Golden Ridge so far.
Yeah, and I love that strat on Tej's screen where you just sort of transition through and bunny hop over everything, and just jump right into the bubble. It's not an easy one to do, but people have started getting more consistent at it.
And both these guys having to wait for these little elevator platforms.
Yeah, both on the auto scroller skips at the same time, just different ones. And that's one thing I'm waiting to see happen at some point. I really like those Ridge auto scroller skips. And I'm waiting for the day when people start going for those consistently in runs. As Moose, oh, it was a nice little corner boost there for Moose. He had messed up the screen, but did a nice save to get a little time back from it.
Yeah, that's another thing that's really, really important in a race setting, is to be able to, whenever you make mistakes, back up them as quickly as possible.
Yeah, for sure. As Moose dying on the part of this auto scroller skip that you don't want to die on, which is the part where you're not doing anything difficult at all. So we see TGH with a 2:30. That's a solid ridge time from him. Well, that's actually it's like a really good ridge time from him, isn't it? It's yeah. So he's looking good so far.
Yeah, I don't think he really took any sort of substantial death or anything in Golden, so
No.
we'll see how he handles Mirror Temple though.
Yeah, and he had enough issues in the Oshiro section that I don't think we're looking at any like PBs or anything like that. But
yeah, I definitely don't think so either.
Yeah, helped him solidify his lead.
And go ahead and get those Yeet emotes ready in chat, because we will be coming up upon that jump pretty soon on Tej's screen.
As we see Moose finishing up Ridge here, going through all the bubbles.
And nice movement through those bubbles. Just making things work pretty well for him as Tej gets that nice yeet. No yeeting today, thankfully.
No. Until, you know, any of the potential next ones. But yeah.
True.
It's a solid yeet. No, you know, Madeline wasn't banging her head or her feet on the walls or anything. Just 100% pure yeet.
As Tej goes ahead and picks up that B-side tape, hearing that tape deck clicking noise. Let's see what he can do with Mirror Temple B-side, one of the definitely most movement-centric parts of this run.
Yeah, as we're coming up on Bub's drop here. It's an important part of the run. If you fail it, you lose about 12 seconds or so. So it's important not to mess up, as Moose doesn't quite get the corner boost there.
Yeah, meanwhile, Tej not able to even start the Bub's drop room. Like, going for the technique now, and he gets it first try. Nice time save.
Get your Bub's drop emotes ready in chat. I don't think those actually exist.
Yeah, I wonder exactly what that emote would be.
Well, I'm just imagining like one that says Bubs and another that just says drop. So it's like the Yeet one.
Oh, okay. Yeah, rocking those two-parters.
Yeah.
Moose, meanwhile, going ahead and grabbing his own B-side, going to be joining Tej in that 5B.
Yeah, as they start up, this is the part where I can't hear the music, but I just have it playing in my head. The very jazzy
Yep.
tune.
It's such a great track, honestly.
It is, and I'm also curious to see how Tej does here with this strat in this 3-pillar room.
Yeah, the new secret strat. Let's see if he's been practicing in a decent amount.
Yeah. Well,
he rocks it, looks like.
Yeah, he died at the very beginning before even starting it, but other than that, was able to get it successfully.
Yeah, so that's a, if I remember right, it's like a 1.5 cycle rather than the standard 2 cycle movement that you have to do.
Something like that. I don't know if that, like, if it works perfectly with that, because like you have to account for like all the time that the seeker is moving and all of that. But yeah, more or less.
As meanwhile, Moose gets that first try Bub's drop, but ends up going ahead and taking a kind of stubborn death in the next room.
Yeah. And so for anyone, well, I guess the main question that I always try and answer with these is, why are people doing 5B in the first place? And the answer to that is that, and you know, you've probably heard this a few times before, but finishing the B side for a chapter unlocks the A side for the next chapter. So 6A is now unlocked for Tej. And getting the tape in chapter 5 and then completing the B side is faster than doing the full chapter 5, just the regular A side. And a big reason for that, and why it's viable in this chapter and not so much in others.
Moose having to go ahead and, sorry to interrupt you, but having to take a restart, missing that key.
But 5B is very non-linear, and so with Bub's drop, we're able to, and a couple other things, skip massive sections of it, which allows it to be as fast as it is. Ooh, Moose is going for, okay. That's okay. That is certainly a way to complete that room. What Moose wanted to do, but it worked.
Yeah, no death. That is ultimately what you have to praise at the end of the day. Shout out to Ruby Dragon for the Twitch Prime subscription. Thank you very, very much. Let's see some GSA fire in the chat.
As Moose gets through, or is currently working on getting through this gauntlet and having a little bit of difficulty. But he gets through. And right here on Tej's screen are some new strats potentially that he's been trying out. No, you can go under there and hit the bumper below, and it's about the same time. Tej was doing a bunch of timing this morning, if you were watching at like 7 a.m. And he was timing a different strat, and then there on the one where you see the Kevin block and sort of taking it right after, Tej would usually just not take the Kevin block and just sort of bunny hop and hyper through the room. And with the timing this morning, found it to be very slightly faster. Everything at this level is like, oh, well, if you can find something that's like 1/10 of a second faster or 2/10, then you try and take it. So he switched up a couple of his strats there in that section just today.
And still making it work, though. Must have obviously put the time in.
Yeah.
As Moose is going to go ahead and join Tej in that reflection section.
As we come up on Lake Skip here, which Moose gets, I believe he died the first time. I could be wrong. Okay. Tej having a little trouble there going down the ravine, but making through successfully. As we enter the battle line fight here.
Yep. Now, was I the only one that didn't realize that her name was Battleim before I actually like started watching runs of it and heard that name?
No, it's not like said anywhere or anything. It's technically in the files of the game. But it, it's not like the grandma is ever like, oh, you met Battleim. Or she doesn't have a name tag or her name tattooed on her or anything like that. It's just something that was in the files, and so the community's just sort of adopted as the name because it's pretty great. It's a good name.
Pretty nice creative name.
It's normally the character is named Madeline, but this is the bad one.
Oh, that's the reference.
Yeah.
Okay.
It may not have made sense before.
Yeah, I wasn't totally clear on it. Thanks so much for that.
Mm-hmm.
As Moose clarifying that spikes are sharp twice, real quick.
Doing a good job. Really clearing that up for it. Owen wondering what you thought it was.
I thought her name was Stacy.
That's certainly one of the options. I think that one might be in the files as well.
Yeah, somewhere around there. Maybe in one of the modded versions, which is kind of official, I guess.
Yeah, maybe in the D-sides, her name is Stacy.
Yeah.
We come up on the second phase of battle in here, where she starts moving blocks. As Moose is entering this long ravine here, can be a rough one because if you die at the very bottom, which is easy to do through these developer-intended shortcuts, which is a thing I think I've heard about 50 times in my life, but never actually said. Pretty fun to say developer-intended shortcuts. You can lose a lot of time dying there, but Moose does a good job not.
Yeah, the way that some of these rooms are oriented and like you don't quite internalize until you end up dying really late in them that, oh, hey, this entire like 20 seconds was one room. That I just died and have to restart now. Yay.
Yeah. Well, it's always interesting watching casual playthroughs with some of the longer rooms where you can tell that like in their head, they know that this is all one long room, but like their heart is hoping that they get to start at some sort of checkpoint. And you can just see in their eyes the sadness when they start, like in the final screen in Oshiro, when you die like right towards the end, and then you just see someone crestfallen as they start at the very beginning of it. I guess it's a little messed up to find enjoyment in it, but I think it's always interesting to see.
Yeah, I mean, everyone has to have gone through that journey at least once playing this game casually, so I think it's okay to laugh at other people going through it themselves. Because they'll end up doing the same to the future generation to get messed up by that stuff the first time.
For sure.
As Tej goes ahead and moves into Summit, going to be going through the meters climb and then finally those 30 checkpoints.
Yeah, and he is ahead at this point, for sure.
Yeah, as long as he keeps playing at the
Someone
level he's played at the moment, he is certainly going to have a pretty easy win on this first race of this first match.
Yeah, for sure. Celeste, not a super, unless you get like one really good match between two super close people, it's not really like a very lead changey game all the time. Like it's certainly fun to sit here and be like, ooh, well, if one person takes, you know, these games and the other takes this one. But the likelihood here is that if anything happened other than Peach moving on, it would be one heck of a surprise.
Honestly, yeah. I mean, Moose putting up a really, really decent fight so far, but Teed's just on an insane level with his optimization in this game. So Moose certainly has his work cut out for him, especially in this first race where he's already taken a pretty substantial deficit.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, adding to that difficulty, you have in Moose someone who is a bit of an Archie, which really just sort of limits your ability in what you can do. So to have someone in TGH who has sort of adopted the Archie and agreed to it versus Moose, it really just sort of solidifies that difference.
So Moose heading towards the summit himself, Tej going through the 1,000-meter section.
As yet, Moose finishes up here with what was that? A 5:59, I think it said. But he still got a sub-6 reflection, which is always good. Someone saying in chat about a 2-minute lead. That, well, yeah, no, that makes sense because you've got one person starting in just about 2 minutes. So last we talked, you had seen some Celeste runs and all of that, or not done like a ton of it. Have you gotten any more like into learning any of it or that?
So I've actually been more recently focused a lot on learning SM64. It's
Oh, okay.
I've wanted to do that since like before Celeste was even extant, I think. But I've been watching more Celeste than I have been in the past, and just trying to learn more about the run because I've definitely found that whenever I try learning a speed game, it benefits me a lot if I already know a decent amount about it, like just theory wise.
Mm-hmm. No, definitely. And I know, like, for some of the stuff, like the strats and everything, I have watched more than my fair share of Celeste, and I know some strats and everything. But like sometimes in a room, I'll just improvise and am able to do just like a strat that I've never done before because I've seen it done like 30 times. So I think there's definitely a bit of an advantage as just sort of lands up on that platform there and is able to finish that room successfully without dying, which was impressive. But
nice spike jumps as well from him.
Yeah, an advantage to having seen and know the run and a lot of the different strats before even having started playing it or trying the speed run.
Yeah. And I mean, it's certainly on my short list, especially as far as 2D games go. I'm really, really in just awe with how fluid the movement tech looks. I've always kind of been a little bit more preferential of 3D games, but Celeste definitely holds a really special place in my heart. And at some point in the pretty near future, I definitely want to go ahead and invest the time to... Ooh, Moose ending up taking a death pretty late in this room. Really
Yeah,
unfortunate.
it's a rough one. As we saw TGH go with the auto scroller skip there, or at least I assume that he did. I actually didn't see, but someone said it in chat, so I can only assume.
Yeah, forgetting about the bounding under the terrain name that another user goes ahead and brings up.
Yeah,
as
true.
Tej finishing out the Mirror Temple section of the summit.
It was a nice butt, for sure. Yeah, and Tej having a little slip up there, but able to save it him. Always my favorite parts of these races is seeing there isn't always a ton of improvisation in these runs, but there's definitely a decent amount of it, and it's always fun to see.
Yeah, and just you can be the most like advanced player in the world practicing just absolutely insane strats, but if you don't know how to back up pretty basic mistakes, then you're gonna have a bad time with your runs, and especially in races. As Tej now at the 3K meter mark, going to be making his way through these final checkpoints to reach the true summit.
As he starts in here through the downdraft section. These lines on the screen are, of course, wind. And they push you down quite a bit, and it can be a real pain.
Yep, I mean, I hate Golden Ridge alone casually, and when the wind returns on the summit here, it's just such a pain.
Yeah, the downwind especially, it can be really difficult to work with. You just do a little jump, and something that works in 99% of the game, all of a sudden you've hit yourself on a spike.
But Tej making the movement look super, super clean here.
Yeah, for sure.
And going ahead and taking these couple of bounces.
I don't have too much more to say about it at this point.
Yeah, Tej just making really, really steady progress up the end of the summit here.
Just doing a good job. It's looking like at this point he's got 7 minutes into this. It should be what, like maybe a mid 28, something like that.
Yeah, has the potential for it for sure. A really, really great race time overall. I mean, pretty decently close to his PB.
Yeah, for sure.
Skyrion with that ethical dilemma, wanting to cheer for Tej, but cannot betray his allegiance to his country. I mean, I think Tej's skill makes it certainly worth the anti-nationalism.
You know, you can root for both of them, I feel like, at the same time, right?
Fair, fair.
You can play for, run for fun and for personal bests. And so you say, all right, Tej, I want you to do the best that you can. But Moose, I want you to too. Maybe get some PBs here and all that. As, yeah, we're going to see just about 28:30 from TG8.
A really, really solid performance time for this race. Yeah, GG's in the chat for Tej in this first set. As Moose going to go ahead and do his own flags here.
And so, like you said at the beginning, this is different from how, as this is now playoffs, this is different from how the tournament has been up to this point, in that if Tej wins the next one, we will not be playing a third game. And Tej will take the first match if he is to win the next one.
Yep. And
best of 3 matches.
Yep, and it will seem a little bit strange because of them playing 2 matches right in a row today. We could potentially be starting that second match a bit early if someone wins out, if Tej wins this next race, that is. So, stay tuned. We'll certainly let you know how exactly this will end up playing out.
Yeah.
Moose, though, with some really, really decent progress on the flag section here, gonna be making his way into the teens.
Yeah. Teens, incidentally, is how old a lot of the people that speedrun Celeste are at the top level. That's just a segue. It's interesting to me. A lot of the top runners, I don't know if either of these are, but you've got like M Sushi, you've got Phoenix, you've got definitely some real youngsters making waves in this game. It's always fun to see. That is always a rough spot. At least Moose did take flag 9 there, so he was just able to start right at that point and not lose any more time. We're going to see some sort of 30 from him, which is a solid time, with his PB being a 29.24. This will just be, not a crazy amount off of his PB. Well, I guess I shouldn't say anything yet, as he does take a death there. And someone did ask what the race record is. So PGH has a world record of 27:52, but he also got another one of those in a race in this tournament. So he has two 27:52s, which are the only 27s anyone has. One of them was just his own PB, and another one he tied in one of these races. So that is both the race record and the world record.
Really fascinating that he was able to pull that off.
Oh, and we see, for sure. All right, Moose, or perhaps a friend of Moose, maybe Skyrion being the one doing the scorekeeping at this point. As it currently does say, Moose has 1 point to Teja's 0.
Yeah, certainly a very interesting way of displaying Teja's win.
Yes, I don't know if this is some sort of Nordic collusion or what it is, but it's definitely okay, as we do see the switch there from the Nords. I think, is that a word? Is that a thing anyone says? If anyone can update me on that. Does anyone say Nord?
I mean, if they don't, I think that's their loss. Nord is just a pretty cool word, regardless.
That's true.
A bit of an argument as to whether things are being rigged or not rigged in this case.
Yeah, we've got one. It's 1-1 right now. One rigged to one not rigged. So whoever types rigged or not rigged yet, I think, just sort of determines it. As someone's saying, Scandinavian is more commonly used. That makes sense. And another person, what's with the file names? So the file names are a cheat method, so that they can't just like have recorded a run previously and then are just sort of playing it. They have to actually play it here, and one way to ensure that is to have to create this file name. And it turns out that it is rigged. Thank you, Duck the Duck Duck, for determining that for us. Much appreciated, and that's good for everyone to know.
Yeah, nice to finally have that full clarification there. EBM showing off the knowledge of the script at this point, as both these guys are going to be moving into Forsaken City.
Yeah. City, a fun chapter with... Let me actually take a look at this. City itself has so many people that have just speedrun only it. You've got these over 300 people who have submitted city times, which I think is really interesting. There are a lot of these people obviously are people who have done full any percent runs and have just submitted their chapter 1 time. But if anyone's out there looking to do Celeste speedrunning and isn't particularly interested in doing the whole thing, doing just chapter 1 could be a really fun way to learn the game and be competitive and all of that. And we've definitely seen some competition and change at the top of, as Tej accidentally grabs that block there, but it's fine anyways. There's been some change and some competition at the top of it with two people. Well, Marlon got a 58, and then two relative newcomers in ZCAD and Plush have both taken the world record recently with some really interesting strats. So I don't know, I'd recommend to anyone going ahead and taking a look at everything that you can look on speedrun.com at like some of the top runs. It's really interesting to see what people are doing with that. Also, if you look on the Chapter 1 leaderboard, out of the 305 people, YP is 297. So that is from, of course, a very old run. You've been playing this game for a while now.
And Demon Reaper asking if Teach has come close to beating his world record in this tournament. As we kind of discussed earlier, he actually tied his world record during this tournament, getting a 27:52 in a race. So super hype.
Yeah, so that's probably about as close as you can get to beating it without beating it. As for when, I honestly have no idea. I don't know if Troy has some stats on that.
Yeah, looking at the spreadsheet, doesn't look like it recorded when exactly that sort of win happened. Unfortunately, just displaying the best and then average times.
Yeah, as we're seeing through the first two chapters here, a much closer race than last time. Tej entering that cutscene at 3:02 and Moose at 3:06. So still about a 4-second difference. But yeah, and it is a really tight window for a world record at this point. I feel like every day there's some new strat happening. And so over time, it's going to be less and less tight for world record. But certainly right now, if you look at like Vlad and at TGH's some of best, they're like 27:20 or something like that. So there's really only from their sum of bests 30-ish seconds of even tiny little mistakes that you can make throughout the entire run. And just like one small thing that doesn't look like it can end up being half a second. And you can't do that more than like 20 times throughout a run or else you won't get world record. So it's really difficult.
Yep, and especially you have to be really good about just pushing those mistakes out of your head and just focusing on the future gameplay rather than what mistakes you may have made in the past.
Yeah, for sure. Not letting it get tilted. And I know a lot of people, like top people, have experimented with just like running without the timer on. Because it's the whole time you're running, you're just sort of, I don't know, trying to see where you're at and glancing at the file timer. Not for everyone, for some people. Trying to figure out where you're at and how much this cost you and thinking about this mistake. And so trying to clear all that out of your head. And Flat actually saying that there is a big window, which, I don't know, I guess is somewhat in the eye of the beholder. It is. Glad your some of best is like a 27-20-ish, right? Although I guess if you feel like some of those golds aren't especially that great, then some of those could go lower and lower your sum of best.
Yup. As Teach going to be making his way back into the huge mess for the second of these 3 cleaning sessions. As Moose just now getting his own chests.
Yeah. They're both in books right now, as T does take a death there. But yeah, they are actually, so if we look, and Tej had a 549 chat with Oshi. As Moose does stumble a little bit, but we're looking at about 5-6 seconds difference right now.
So it's certainly better than
close.
what Moose had going into that first race, so he's got to be happy about that.
Yeah, and really anyone's game at this point. As we see, one thing we didn't quite talk about last was what Demo Dash is and how it works.
Yeah, so Demo Dash, there's actually a bit of a gap between those dust bunnies that they Demo Dash through that just happens to be the same height as Madeline's crouched hitbox. And so by aligning Pixel perfectly with the visual cue in the background and then doing a sideways dash, you can actually just barely squeeze Madeline between those two dust bunnies. It looks like they're one solid piece, but they're actually not. And so that's also why you see like what Tej is doing right here with going ahead and diving to pick up that checkpoint, because if you fail Demo Dash, then right here, you don't waste any time getting right back into it.
Yeah, and Tej being very nice and showing that for us.
Giving us a nice little demonstration.
Yeah. A demonstration, if you will. Yeah, it's a good one. As Moose coming up on it here as well, and he gets a first try, and we'll. So that's a solid showing from him. And certainly, if Tej struggles a little bit with the Oshiro section, he did last time, we could certainly see Moose catch up and really potentially take the lead here.
Yeah, let's pay attention to this Oshiro fight and see how this goes for both our runners. Moose taking an early death, putting Tej in a nice, more advantaged position.
Yeah.
And Tej gonna be finishing out with a, I think that was a high 30s, low 40s.
750. Oh, for the time itself, yeah. And a 754, which is a solid time. Moose improvising here. Gets through no problem. He's not gonna. Okay, nice. He's able to get through right there at the end and not get killed by Oshiro. So he does a really solid job there.
And so now Tej with Golden Ridge round 2.
Yeah, everything looking pretty smooth so far. Moose just kind of flying through those platform screen as we see him bouncing up and down there on for anyone who isn't aware what Archie is, it is a bird that is owned by a person. Well, not, I was gonna say as most birds, that is incredibly
Yeah, I think there's a decent number of wild birds. Just a few.
There's a couple out there in the world.
There are dozens.
I don't know if you've ever seen the movie Birdemic, but it can be.
Oh man.
And
that
so
movie's just wild.
It really is. So, anyways, someone who is a big fan of this found that strat in the 2 key coins screen here, where you just sort of demo. I don't know if it's a demo ultra or exactly what you call it, but a demo is involved, and so it's something people have sort of been switching to recently. And there's a little bit of a cult following for it, for sure. You know, t-shirts, everything. twitchy mode. So Moose has, I don't know exactly how recent this is, but he has been, as there has been more of a push recently to do, there have been a lot of top runners doing all red berries, and he's definitely been one of them. If you look at, yeah, if you look at his stream, it's pretty much all red berry stuff. So he's kind of having to transition here into, doing more any person again, which can be a little difficult with all the differences between the two categories.
Yeah, and anytime you're rapidly switching between games or categories like that, it can be really, really tough to make those adjustments that you need to.
For sure, but he's gotten some solid all red berries for sure. Currently 6th place on the leaderboard, which is a nice spot to be. Maybe like, I don't know, a couple months ago, you'd be like 6th place on the ARB leaderboards. Isn't that impressive? But with all the push there's been recently of people really playing ARB and making it go further, it definitely is impressive now.
Yep. I mean, I've always thought that basically every category of this game was impressive, but watching it, especially from guys like Tej, is just so much fun.
Yeah, you've got a lot of top people there. Babai, Nero are like fighting for a world record right now at this point. And so they're both kind of trying to get sub 50, as we see Babai with a 50-minute 10-second, Nero with a 50-minute 19-second. So that's an interesting thing to just sort of keep a watch on and see what's going on with it in the Celeste world. Yeah, and someone asking why 5B is done and not 5. And yeah, it's because getting the cassette in Chapter 5 and then completing 5B is faster than just doing all of 5A. And when you do 5B, it still unlocks the next chapter. And so that is why we do it.
Great explanation.
Oh, thank you. I've done it a couple of times.
Really? I never would have guessed.
Yeah. No, I know. And someone asking for 100. The answer is never. The longer answer is when you put a lot of money in, people will come. I am looking forward to Tasselfoot's 100 Celeste tournament. 6B is also technically faster, but you have to do everything pretty much perfectly for it to be faster than an optimal 5A. You will see it though in the aforementioned.
You're looking forward to watching that myself after this.
Yeah, for sure. As Tej misses this strat on the 3-pillar room, I don't know if we really have a name for this strat, but it should be kind of a thing. As Moose not quite trusting his cycles there on this big long screen, really wants to make sure he just doesn't take a death. Takes a little bit of a safety strat there and say we'll get through no problem. And yes, the 114% tourney. There have been some 114% like races, sort of. Pretty much what happens is that like 3 or 4 to do 100% together, and then do it for like 4 or 5 hours, and then give up.
Sounds like a ton of fun, honestly.
Okay. Moose is that. That's a nice save.
Yeah, really, really strongly able to recover there.
Yeah, he has had a couple different strats on that 3-pillar screen. But yeah, we've seen only like 4 or 5 people who have bothered to do 114%, which for anyone who doesn't know, 114% is completing everything, then also getting all 25 of the golden berries, which is completing a chapter without taking a death. Like doing the entirety of 7B or 6B without taking a death a single time.
Jeez.
So yeah, only like 4 or 5 people have managed to do that all in one, or at least recorded streamed run. As Moose finishes up 5B there, it was a solid there's a lot of different nice saves there from Moose in that chapter as he finishes with a 249. I think there haven't been any Bubs drops fails that I've seen. So we've gone 4 for 4 on it so far, which is impressive.
Yeah, that's what you always enjoy seeing in a race setting like this.
Yeah, for sure.
And Teach nicely navigating those bumpers with that feather. Just one nice advantage to playing on controller, you can actually use analog 6.
Yes, it is nice, I'd say. You can also, by the way, use analog to play the entire game. It is the feasible solution.
Just a little bit whenever you're trying to move your character sprite, I feel like.
Yeah, it can be. Also, have you seen the person that's done Celeste with a DR dance pad?
I have not. That's insane.
Yeah. So it's, I don't know. It's not something that I keep track of in my day-to-day life.
I wonder why not.
Yeah, it's close to the list of things that I sure would like to, but just don't have the time. But it's, I know that it has been completed before, which is definitely impressive. And someone in chat saying that they've played analog for their playthrough and do have some misangled dashes. That happens, I think, for pretty much everyone. It's certainly one of the unfortunate small issues that Celeste has. I think especially it'll happen where you are moving to the right, and so you're holding right, and then you want to dash straight up, but you, I guess pretty much what it is that you don't move your controller or your analog stick from right to up fast enough before you hit dash. And so you end up going upright instead of up. But what happened to me is this would happen all the time. And then I started looking down at my controller when I would do these up dashes where I was messing up. And when I looked at my controller, I was actually in this weird, sort of, it was really close to up, but it was actually more upright position. And I started just like staring at my controller and making it go straight up when I was doing these dashes. And I just did that over and over and just sort of retrained my muscle memory. And I'm now able to run on analog with very few. I mean, there's still misdirected dashes every once in a while, but it's way less than there used to be. So that's what I would suggest for anyone looking to do analog. As we see both of them in the battle line fight now. The Stacy fight, if you will. Troy suggesting just switching to D-pad. For me personally, I've never played any games ever with a D-pad. and it felt really weird to try. So I just learned how to do analog better. But yeah, I mean, certainly most people use D-pad or they use keyboard, and it's objectively better or whatever. But there are top runners who do mostly or all analog. Teach finishing up reflection here. He's gonna have certainly a solid time, like a 5:40-ish or so. Nicely done from him. A weird concept to have never used a D-pad on a game. I don't know, when would you use a D-pad? Just use the analog. Oh wait, no, that's not. Okay. So like Super Nintendo games. I guess the Super Nintendo controller only has analog. Yeah. So if you ignore the first 15, however many years of my life, then okay, Nintendo DS. Okay, congratulations. You've successfully figured out that there are a lot of systems with D-pads. And I have not intentionally like engineered an analog onto like my Super Nintendo. So that's fair. And yeah, a lot of people, well, not a lot of people, some people use analog to run Celeste. I use it, Evans uses it, Phoenix uses it for at least some of it. It is viable. As we see, so basically what we're likely to see here, unless Tej develops an narcolepsy in the next 5 minutes and then falls asleep, is that he will take this. And so previously in this tournament, we've been playing all 3 matches because it's a point system. But now this is playoffs. And so there's no more point system. And so it's just whoever takes the best 2 out of 3. So if Tej takes this one, then he will win this first match. As we see sort of these numbers next to him and next to Moose's name. And then it's just the best 2 out of 3 for the whole thing. So again, unless, I don't know, Tej gets attacked by a lion within the next 5 minutes, he'll be taking this first match, and then we'll be moving pretty quickly on to the next one. And yeah, Spirity, I'm the same way. I just don't like using D-pads for platformers, or I guess I shouldn't say that, because that's what I did the entirety of my childhood. But trying it with Celeste definitely felt unnatural. Everybody is different. We've got, I want to say, 2 controller D-pad users here. I know TGH does. I believe Moose uses it as well. As we see this nice screen from Tej here, all those ultras. I'm really glad. As we see him skip the dog room, no Franker Z for TG. Go through and just have a solid 1500 here, presumably. As we see Moose entering into 1000. TGH appearing to try and demo dash through those spikes then. he gets through this first of these two big ridge screens and then goes bounding under the rat. He gets it no problem. Nicely done. He got that no problem last time. So that's some solid consistency for him there. Oh, I hate dying on the screen right at the end. He just doesn't quite grab onto it. As we see Troy in chat currently looking to take on the wrath of the analog people. We are powerful and we will come for you. As we see the pooch here on Moose's screen. Nice to see, as a moose, he's still respecting some other animals. Yeah, there's at least 5 of us and we're pretty powerful. Don't worry about it. TGH with the key skip there. For anyone running Celeste and not doing that key skip, it's really pretty darn simple to do. You just want to get 2 jump buttons hang on, Moose survives, doesn't get to keep his berry, which he probably wanted to. It does survive on that screen. But for that key skip, you're going to want to get 2 jump buttons. And then you're going to want to use one for jumping off of that first side of it there, and then it just naturally takes you right to the other side, and then hold down your first jump button and use the second one to jump off the second side and then dash your way up. It's actually way simpler than it looks, and if you're not doing that key skip in 2500, give it a try. You see Moose moosing on through here. He's getting up to 2500. Ambling, I guess. I don't really know how Moose get around. Looked like a pretty fast key skip from him. Usually you see a little jumping up there, but he just kind of hit both of those walls. And then, dashed up there instead of taking the... As we see TGH coming up on flag 13. As Moose fails door skip. A classic Celeste death that's been going on for many months. You don't get to see a good door skip death as you used to, though. That's for sure. All right. So after this, there's going to be more Celeste with more Moose versus TGH. They will be doing their second match, so stay tuned for that. You will be having different people doing some commentary. Electric, he was mentioning that he's had some weather issues in his area, and so he may have had a power outage, which would be unfortunate and I guess somewhat ironic given his name. As we see TGH finishing up here with a lot of consistency. He got like a 28 just about 28-30. Now he's got 28-28. That's really consistent from him. So nice job from him to take this first match before they go ahead and play 2 more. As we see Moose finishing up here. I'm just getting some water here, an important thing for everyone to do. As we see Moose finishing up with a solid time, looking like it's going to be sub 30 here. Yeah, got 29.54. So pretty solid, and I think about 30 seconds better than he did last. Well, that's good. And I think we might be just jumping right into the next one. As we've got the file name and everything ready to go. Yeah, and we see Moose here ready to put in the next file name. File names, by the way, for anyone who is unaware, are anti-cheat protection, so that you have to put in the file name to make sure that you haven't just recorded a run and are just playing it for everybody now.
And I'm here now.
And you're here now. And who are you?
I'm Troy of Athens.
Oh, hey.
Yeah.
So, how's your D-pad usage going?
I mean, technically I use a keyboard, but it's going great.
Okay. Fair enough. That's good. Congratulations.
You'll
be hearing from the analog people.
I already hear from them. It's okay. Like, you know, their thumbs are weak, so it's fine.
My thumbs are weak?
I don't know. I couldn't come up with an insult.
I feel, well, my thumbs are all right. They could be worse.
Perhaps. Who knows? I honestly don't know which one would be make you weaker in the thumbs. All our thumbs are pretty dexterous, so
yeah.
Being gamers.
That's true. That's true. And I don't mean to brag or anything. But my girlfriend played a lot of Pokemon Pin in her life and got some really extraordinary thumbs from it. So.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm jealous of her thumbs.
Yeah, you should. Yeah. I'm jealous of her thumbs too.
Mm-hmm.
They're like the size of her head. That's an exaggeration.
I would actually get that checked. Like, it's a bit of a problem. Like, there's a limit.
Yeah, might be a bit of an issue. But you were watching this first race here. Right, you got to see TGH take it from Moose.
Yeah, I saw the second race of that first set.
Mm-hmm.
Just partially honestly why like I couldn't commentate for the first race. It's just because like I wasn't available. I was coming back from work.
Makes sense. Makes sense. And so yeah, someone asking why Nero playoff. But yeah, you said he's just not able to go to the live pace event.
Yeah, I figured we didn't really need to address it in the
Yeah.
in the commentary. It's a very simple answer. Yeah. He just couldn't come. There's no way that he was able to come. So.
Some slight concern that someone's posting a robot.
Yeah. You're becoming a robot.
Am I actually becoming a robot?
Yes.
I
mean, right now you're fine. But
okay.
it was coming in and out.
Yeah, that'll happen. Do you have any mic suggestions?
Do I know any Michaels? Hold on. I mean, they're a good fabric store, right? That's what they sell, right? Like arts and crafts and stuff.
They're fine.
Yeah, it's a good place.
I don't want to get too much into the issues I have with, but we'll save that for another time.
All right.
Not a fan though.
Not a fan of Michaels?
I don't want to get into it.
Okay, I guess we won't get into it.
I'm just gonna, be like one of those people on Facebook, like really mad at Michaels right now. And then
any suggestions on monitors? Talking baby monitors, like what kind of monitors?
Maybe hall monitors.
Yeah, hall monitors.
I know almost nothing about computers. I personally have no suggestions, as we see TGH die on the very of city there.
Oh, so someone to monitor your gameplay. I see. Okay, so a gaming monitor. Got it. They get, you need someone to watch your gameplay for you. Got it. Cool.
Like a mod?
Yeah, like I could monitor. Yeah, like make sure the gaming is going well and to plan.
I believe the person that said sigh in the chat is sad about all of these jokes.
Sorry. I feel like being a troll today. It's fun.
As they're both doing all right in city here. Well, as I say that, Peach takes a death. So we've got a little lead here for. When that happened in the first race, Moose had a little bit of lead in city. It lasted for about 3 or 4 seconds, and then TGH took it back. But we're seeing him finish up before TGH here and having a little bit of a lead going into Chapter 2. It's nice.
Okay, look, we don't. I know that TGH actually personally hates that whole thing about like, oh, anyone who plays against him has no chance. So like, let's just get that out of the way right now. Like, please be polite and respectful of Moose. He's a very good player as well.
Yeah. Oh, he's really good.
Like, if I were to race him, I would not win.
No.
That goes without saying. Like, I would definitely not win.
Same, yeah. No, he's. I mean, just to be here, where this is like top 8, you have to be really good. For sure. It's impossible not to be. And so, someone in chat saying that they use analog speedrun Celeste. Thank you. We will add you to the Discord.
Are we?
Plot. Oh. Ooh, Moose taking an unfortunate death there. That's such a tight.
You could, with how small the community is, you could probably use another moderator. So like, you can just make him a moderator easily.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, like
community.
Yeah. Yeah, and Moose is not in the lead anymore. But
That is true. As we see a little bit, it's about a 2-second difference or so.
Yep.
Yeah, the strat that Moose died on is such a rough because it's so tight.
oh, damn, that sucks. Moose just missed a corner. Moose just missed a wave dash. Got kind of corner bopped there.
Yeah, it's Awake is rough. So, anything in particular you're looking to see from this race today?
You know, just superior usage of D-pad sticks and D-pads and the keyboards, because obviously the analogs have this weird flaw of angles, which don't exist in this game. Other than like the one level, like they don't exist. There's 0, 90, and 45. That's all there is, and that's all you need. And with the D-pad, you got that. You don't need these like weird half angles and stuff.
There is a section in the game multiple sections, in fact, multiple parts of the game that include angles, other than the regular 8.
Yeah, and it was really just to, it was just done to sympathize with the analog stick users, which in reality is not, like, like most platformers understand the ways of the D-pad, and like, well, like you look at Super Meat Boy, and Super Meat Boy, completely better to play with a D-pad or with a keyboard.
I wouldn't know that.
Because you wouldn't play it, because you'd fail.
I haven't played it, so I can't comment on that.
Yeah, sorry.
Oh, wait, Electric's still here? What? We're tri-casting this now?
Oh, what's up?
You can still be here, it's cool.
So what's up?
Was that directed at me or Troy?
Yeah, you're just randomly saying hi to us still. I didn't realize you were still here.
Is this a first?
Technically?
Someone mentioning that this may be illegal. I don't know. Lawyers.
Our overlay doesn't have support for 3 commentators being displayed at once, so me being a restreamer, I know that. It wouldn't destroy the stream, it's just like we don't have anywhere to display the 3rd commentator's name. Like, where does it go?
Mm-hmm. That's true. Someone asking if NBL TGHSR is the... It is. He is.
Yes, it is. Let me go through the explanations of that. NBL is the team he's part of, Noble Esports. And then SR is at the end, is just Speedrun at the end, and that's actually because there's this weird thing on Twitch that hasn't always been there. It wasn't there when the Twitch first was around, so there actually are a few that don't follow this rule, and those are the lucky few. But you can't have a name that is only 3 characters long. So most people who have like a 3-character name like that just add something to the end. In this case, a lot of speedrunners just add SR.
Yeah, as we see from Moose as well. Oh, as he...
Ooh. Is he able to... Wow, barely able to save that. Really, really nice.
Wow, there's a lot of shade of being thrown at Noble Esports. Good to see Noble doing better in Celeste than PUBG. Like, wow. Yeah, but he's part of the Noble streamers. He's not officially on the competitive side, so to speak. But anyway, yeah, we got TGH is almost done with the Oshiro section here, about halfway. Almost done with chapter 3, about halfway through Oshiro section. as Moose has just made it through Demo Dash and is going to be coming up on Oshiro as well.
Ooh, taking that unfortunate death right at the beginning of the Oshiro chase. Is Tej finishing up Resort? Moose just cannot seem to make any major headway in this section.
All right, so clearly Espel is getting a bit intimidated by having so many people here, so he's just gonna go.
Rude. Analog threat.
Look, you know, he's just outnumbered, right? Electric, you're a D-pad? You would use D-pad in this game? In this game, you use D-pad, right?
Yes.
Okay,
because
cool.
I know what I'm doing.
Yes, thank you. Thank
See,
you.
I can see not using the D-pad if you have a controller with kind of a crappy D-pad, but I use a DualShock 4, so it's...
Right. Like, I know you come from SM64, so I know you played that with joystick, but, like, that's because it's a 3D game.
Yeah. This game, it's really... If you're playing it with stick, there's... That's a very interesting move.
Yeah. Okay, thank you for understanding and being a sane person today.
2003-041 pointing out that SM64 DS uses D-pad, but
I mean, if you have a 3DS or a DSi,
yeah, that's
you're fine.
true.
Those have circle pads.
Yeah, people who did. I'm a little bit surprised that they're using both of those together. I would have thought that they would have said that special place is for people that play Celeste with analog stick and enjoy pineapple on pizza.
I didn't realize there's a way to pronounce your name. I just thought it was numbers. So cool.
Pineapple pizza is good. Just certain pizzas. You can't just put pineapple on anything.
Get out.
Okay.
So I'm solo calming this today. I've made too many enemies, and it's just gonna be me for the rest of the stream.
I wonder who has more enemies. Gold. Ooh, Moose narrowly.
Oh, okay. He's fine. He just gotta wait for that directional block to respawn like he just did.
Okay, nice little backup there.
Yeah, that was a lot of mess ups though.
Yeah, wasting some time, but at least no death. That's for sure.
Yeah. And TJ is finishing out chapter 4 with 10:26.
Yeah, so with that considerable lead over Moose in this race. Grady, I normally, well, right now I'm trying to learn SM64. My first speed game to try to learn anything in was Odyssey.
I'm sorry.
Oh no, you're fine.
I just love what Moose just did there. He accidentally went into the screen to the right, but instead of like just going back to doing the screen that he just was on, he was like, ah, screw it, and just kept going forward. I was just like, oh, okay.
Yeah, a little extra room that you don't normally get to see in standard 80%.
Yeah, he missed grabbing the wall, so he just kept flying to the right because of the wind, and it was just like, okay, I'm just gonna keep going. No, that was a good point. Like, that definitely was a good strategy, because, like, you know, you're already being transitioned into there. It would have wasted more time to transition back and try to figure out how to do that room quickly from that side. So, yeah, it just made more sense once he accidentally entered that room to just go. All right, TGH is going to be coming up on Bub's drop shortly while Moose is moving through 5A. Oh, missing the cycle skip there. And yeah, you're right. The wind does push you back to the other room. My mistake, but you know what I mean.
Grady, it was thought to be a little bit slower initially, just because it kind of seems counterintuitive to do only part of 5A and then finish all of 5B. And whenever it was first realized to be kind of faster, it was like, well, yeah, it's fast, but it's also really hard. And then eventually the game kind of reached a state of optimization where it was like, well, it's difficult, but it's also this much faster. It only makes sense for us to do it.
Can I give a correction?
Oh, yeah. Sorry about that.
Yeah, in reality, it actually wasn't known for a long time. Although I think it was kind of somewhat known, like, kind of subtly, but not by a lot of the top runners, that completing a B-side would actually unlock the next A-side. Like, that wasn't a known thing. So for a while, it just wasn't even, like, considered because people didn't realize that if they beat the B-side, it would still unlock the next A-side. And then eventually we discovered that, and then, yeah, it was always there. Just for whatever reason, a lot of people just never thought about doing it. And Musa, unfortunately, not going to be able to get the Bubs drop there. But essentially what eventually happened was people discovered it, and then once it was discovered, it was pretty much instantly like, yeah, this is going to be so much faster. It's just a matter of like them trying to figure it out. Like even without doing any skips, I believe 5A and 5B is like still like a couple seconds faster. So like even without any skips, people were thinking, yeah, it's gonna be faster. And then, I'm guessing like from there they started to try to figure out how to do it task wise. And so because you're doing it with tasks, it's really easy to find certain strategies that are crazy, like the corner boost that people know of that exists now in 5B. And that was known for some time, and people were like, yeah, that's great. That saves like 20 seconds, so it's really worth it to go to 5B if you can manage to figure out how to do that. But in reality, it's really difficult, so no one did it. And then Bub's drop was discovered, and everyone went over.
Yep.
So there's your history lesson.
Yeah, that Bub drop was really the big thing because after seeing Bubs drop so much, you kind of forget how exactly the room is supposed to go. You're supposed to take a really, really roundabout path to end up getting a bubble to fly through that tunnel.
Yeah. And you basically have to be getting keys and stuff for it as well. Like a bunch of keys. I believe they're officially, casually, you're supposed to get 2 keys to go there. And then there's another way where you can do it with 1 key without the skip. And then you could do... And then you could do it with no keys using either Bub's drop or the corner boost strategy. And in reality, it's and because you can do the corner boost strategy.
Rough death right at the end of that secret room.
Wait a second. Okay, no, I was wrong. Okay, TGA is just moving through chapter 6 still. For like a split second, I thought TGH took 6B, but we would have realized that already.
Yeah. And 6B is one of those things that maybe one day it'll be in that same situation as 5A that will make some kind of discovery that ends up making it significantly faster, or just this game will... Moose actually having trouble popping the Crystal Heart at the end of 5B.
Right.
I'm wasting a couple of seconds on that.
Yeah, you actually have to dash into it to unlock it, so if you just like jump into it, it's not going to do anything.
Right. And I believe it's like 3B or 4B, where it ends with the timed platforms that you have to wall jump between, like in a big column. That's a like really, really rough section because you have to do that dash there.
One actually.
Really? Okay, yeah. I couldn't remember exactly which level it was, but it's one of the earlier B-sides.
And as for 6B, just right now 6B saves about 2 seconds optimally. And that's fully optimally, and that's using task strats as well, which those task strats involve using more demo dashes than like using demo dashes in places that have no actual setup for them yet. You know, they're only viable by task because there's like no way to figure out where the pixel gap is.
Yeah, see that's why the 3 sorry, not bub, what am I thinking? Demo dash is like such a kind of interesting thing because you have that little texture in the background that is so convenient as a visual cue.
Yeah. For human runners, I believe it's like 1 second, maybe.
Yeah, you have to play absolutely out of your head to
it's
be able to
very
make any sort of time save.
Yeah. Yeah, it's very viable in all red berries though, and that's actually because you are essentially saving time by not having to get the heart in 6A. Instead, you're just getting the heart in 6B and beating the level. Because getting the heart in 6A and beating the level apparently like wastes like 13 more seconds. So you have that whole like buffer right there to save time instead of having to wait for it. Yeah, it's really hard. It's really hard to save time in 80%. 80% is a pretty optimized category at this point.
Yup. He's struggling to save just a few more seconds off of his PB for the times that he's wanting. And can we just take a moment to say that 7B should certainly be called the meme side rather than B side.
Yeah, because 7B doesn't unlock the epilogue. You have to get to the epilogue in order to actually beat the game, and 7B doesn't beat the game.
Yeah, it's pretty odd.
Not to mention that I believe the cassette is in 1500 meters, which is a ridiculously long distance to go to then unlock 7B.
Yep.
And beat 7B. So it's just like, no, even if this was a thing, it just wouldn't make sense.
Yeah, not at all. Tej showing battle in what for as Moose moves into the first stages of the fight, taking these nice dev intended shortcuts.
Yeah, I just want to give reference here, just to know how optimized the game is right now. The world record is 27:52, but the best possible time on TGH's like splits, I believe, is like a 27:30 or something like that.
Yeah, so
like
his summer best
like
according.
I believe it's like a 27:2x or something.
Yeah, it may have changed, but according to the stat sheet, it's a 27:35.
Yeah, that's.
I'm sure it's been updated a little bit.
Well, no, that's fine. That's right, but that's based on the races that he's done in GSA. I'm talking about the stuff that he's done on his own in the stream.
Oh,
and
I
all
see.
Of that. Like the ones that he's recorded. I believe his live split says something like 27:2x, which the fact that it is that close to the actual world record just shows how little there is left to optimize. At least of the strategies that we currently know.
I'd have to say it's probably somewhere close to the optimization level of like Odyssey any percent, where again some of best is within about a minute of the current world record. I think even tighter than that in that case too.
Yeah, honestly, there's a lot more stuff to optimize Odyssey than there is of this game because I
Well, I mean, you
think
say that, but the momentum chaining that you have to do in this game really does make a huge difference in the speeds that you're able to achieve. There's a lot that you have to be paying attention to in order to get the times that Tej has proven time and time again he's capable of.
right.
Just to right.
No, it's true. There's a lot of skill that it took for TGH to get where he is. Like, very respected, and like honestly, I can't think of anyone who I can fully think is like capable of. I want to see it done, but it's going to be very difficult in my mind for anyone right now to beat TGH at the level that he's currently at.
Yeah, certainly other people playing catch up, but it's not insurmountable at all. And
No,
I mean,
not at all. I know a lot of people who are claiming that they're going to be getting a sub 28 very soon, but like I've heard it, like I've talked to people about it.
Yeah, I mean, Vlad
And like they've said like they're gonna get sub 28 like in the coming weeks maybe, or within this month or something, and it's like, okay, well, I haven't seen it yet. I mean, like, I really do want to root for you, and I know you can, or I know you're capable of it and everything, but like, it's a lot of work from what I can tell.
Yep.
Wait,
And yeah, kind of curious as far as like the Chapter 9 DLC. Is that's not going to affect the any percent category, is it? I'm sure there will be like an any percent plus Chapter 9, but like the current patch rule isn't going to mean that every any percent run has to have Chapter 9, right?
Sorry?
So we've heard from Matt Makes Games that the Chapter 9 DLC is coming pretty soon, and I'm assuming that that's not going to be affecting the route or anything for the any percent run, just
No.
the longer categories.
Yeah, the same way that no, it wouldn't affect that either. I think in my mind, I would think maybe just all A sides is all it would really affect, because it's been confirmed that there's no hearts, there's no strawberries, and there's no B or C sides in it. So it's literally just another A side, effectively. So it would
That's
just
pretty
be
interesting. I didn't actually know that.
yeah. It's been tweeted. It's been confirmed by the developers that is what it is. There's no crystal hearts. There's no strawberries in it at all, and there's no B or C sides in it. It's just its own freestanding level. So yeah, it's not going to affect any other category besides A sides. Like, that's really all it's going to affect, and the 100% categories, of course. Honestly, like, I don't think that's a bad thing, because the game is great on its own, and the chapter is going to be great. From what I've seen of it, the music's amazing of it still, and it's a very challenging chapter. It's not like, from what I've seen of it, the chapter itself is not on the same level as other A-sides. Just because it's, yeah, technically just an A-side, it's not an A-side. Like, it is very difficult.
It's like beyond a standard A side for sure. And SC Racers, with that clarification and a really interesting point in chat, that the Chapter 9 DLC could bring some other tech into the game that could actually make 27s a lot easier for the competition. Kind of interesting to see if that ends up being the case.
Oh, so like some sort of like some sort of movement modification, like with what, like when corner boosts were introduced.
Yeah, something like that, it seems.
And I honestly think that still we haven't fully explored the possibilities of corner boosts. Like, it definitely seems like there's more places to put them. Not to the point where it could get us past, get us into sub 27 territory, but it could definitely help us shave off like maybe like 10 to 20 seconds.
Yeah, and that would certainly be really, really awesome to see.
At least I want to say, like, if fully like searched out, I think it probably could save about like up to 10 seconds, maybe more. because they can just be used everywhere, and if like we actually truly use them everywhere,
yeah, just so much extra speed. Teach with those nice door skips and then failing the room right after.
Yeah, if we can find more areas to do demo dashes as well, like if we can find more ways to get consistent setups for demo dashes like we have found in 3B, in 3, just chapter 3, then it would be really easy, because like yet again chapter 6B has a lot of demo dashes that are done by tasks, and like some of them are just like really cool, and I just want them in there because of just like you're just like watching it happen and you're just like, what? There's also demo dashes in Summit, by the way. Like,
yeah,
other than the door skip. I'm not talking about the door skip. I'm not talking about the one in 2,000 meters either. I'm talking about legitimate demo dashes through spike walls. So,
jeez,
like, they actually exist in Summit. Go watch the tasks. You'll see them. They exist. So, like,
yeah.
so
Meanwhile,
there's
Moose
plenty of
taking
places for them.
Yeah, Moose taking some kind of roof deaths though, unfortunately. And so Tej up in the
So let me
flag
give you-
section of the summit.
Let me give you one example, because we're about to approach one actually very shortly. Being that there are a bunch of spikes here, this is actually some of the areas that... This is one of the areas where demo dashes do exist here. I believe there's one right there. And then I believe that you could do one there as well, maybe. I'm not sure.
It's really interesting to kind of
Yeah.
tear apart the way the levels are constructed and realize that those little gaps exist in so many places.
Yeah, because all it is just those walls of spikes aren't walls of spikes at all. They're balls of spikes, essentially.
Yeah, like
they're a
attached to the
ball
walls.
of hitboxes. It's just a ball of hitboxes. And what you did? I didn't notice that. You can demo
FC
dash
just
there.
really
you can demo dash
flagging
there
up.
in the ARB route, and then right here as well to get to that feather. You can go underneath instead of up and around. You can go through those spikes instead of up and around for another demo dash. So like it's just like what?
Yeah, FC Racer's just absolutely insane god gamer, it seems. As Tej pulls off that summit, let's see what his
Officially-
final time was. Nice 28:45 to clinch
Yeah.
this first race of the second match.
The second set, yes. Yeah, just for reference, I would say that officially a demo dash is just a crouching mid-air dash. In itself, that itself is the demo dash. The reason that we can use it is because it shrinks your hitbox to 4 pixels, which just happens to be the exact hitbox, exact spacing of 2 spike ball thingies in a lot of places. So you can just barely get through.
And just quick shout outs to the final file image when you don't collect really any strawberries. Everyone looks so awkward.
Everyone's just like, I guess we like this. I guess we'll eat the pie. It's an okay pie. I actually think they'd say that like this pie, like they can't eat the pie. I think someone throws up. I honestly remember like there's a line in the script of like where someone like essentially like does like like it's just essentially like it makes it
Well, like they're gagging.
clear.
Yeah, I think I
like,
remember.
Yeah,
something
it was like
that.
a gag or something in the text.
And I had like,
So,
I
like
think,
making
like,
it
20 or
very
30
clear that
berries
like they
total.
don't like it.
Yeah, I think I had like 20 or 30 berries total, and I still got that like ending where Theo was like, "It's all right. It's decent."
Yeah, just Theo just flat out lying to to Madeline to make her feel better.
And that's part of what
it's-
motivated me to try to do 100% my next playthrough. Was I wanted to be able to see what would happen if I actually got all red berries.
I believe there's 4 separate outcomes for that as well.
That's
for that epilogue.
fascinating. More endings than
one-
Undertale, it seems.
Yeah. There's one for very little strawberries or no strawberries. There's one for some. There's one for most, and then there's one for all of them.
Moose with that save. Wow, that was really, really impressive. Nice and clean.
That's the way I put it. I don't know what the exact like ranges are for all of them. That's why I just say a little, some of them, and most of them, and then all of them.
Yeah, I would figure.
And
it
when
would
I
be,
say
like, split
all-
into quarters, but
Yeah, and when I say all, I mean all 175. If you get all the golden ones as well, it doesn't change. I'm sorry to disappoint you, but it doesn't change if you get all the goldens.
well, that's okay because I actually had no idea Goldens existed because I'm just still bad at the game.
Well, so and I answered that question right on time too, 'cause someone literally just asked that question in chat.
Yeah, and Aminoko also making reference to TGH's old speed game. Well, you know what's kind of funny is before I started watching any sort of Celeste, I actually found my way to TG's genocide world record. And like whenever I started watching TG later on, I didn't put 2 and 2 together and realize it was the same guy. Until like one day I was in his chat, someone mentioned Undertale, and like I looked down on his bio and was like, wait a minute, his run is really close to the world record right now. And sure enough, his run was the world record at the time that I'd watched it.
I mean, that makes a lot of sense, actually. In some ways, at first I didn't think that he, like that Undertale to this doesn't have like a real transition. But then if you look at the genocide, like the Sans boss fight itself is a platformer.
Yep.
Like that fight is a platformer. So that is literally a precision platformer just inside of that RPG fighting area. So it makes a lot of sense, actually. I'm just like, oh.
And FC showing off that clip of him doing the Flag 4 demo. Wow. Nice, impressive dash there. That was really, really clean. And just real quick, while these guys are setting up for the files, I definitely want to go ahead and apologize again for that little absence there. I just, I'll be real. I just did not get enough sleep last night, and I couldn't figure out how to wake myself up. But wide awake now. The race, especially TGH's performance in this last race, has just been as much of a caffeine boost as I need. It seems.
Yeah. Just seeing TGH casually pull out a 28XX is just like, okay.
Now let's go ahead and watch it. Yeah, no, it's I always hate when that happens. Like when you realize that you're like starting to fall asleep and there's not much that you could do about it. Like I guess I could have like stood up and just held the mic in my hand the whole time, but that would have caused so much noise.
During commentary?
Say again?
Did you fall asleep during a commentary?
Maybe.
Again with this. God, how do they keep inviting you back? I don't understand.
Well, hey, this wasn't anywhere near as bad as that last time. I didn't start talking about Mario Kart, okay?
You weren't fully talking about Mario Kart either. It was a weird time. Like you weren't. I don't even know how to put it. Like you were talking about Mario Kart, but honestly, even if you were commentating Mario Kart, I don't.
It wouldn't have made sense. Yeah.
You wouldn't have made sense either. Like, like have you gone back and listened to that since then?
I did, and I cringed so hard. It was.
Yeah.
That was never again. Never again.
Yeah, I'm not even fully mentioning what happened because honestly, it should just be a thing that is honestly just be a thing that lives on, but like that just kind of just like stays between us. Like
just lives in the shadows. I'm honestly shocked that you were willing to come with me ever again after that, because I think that was your first time with me.
Yes,
And
it was. I was just like,
what a great
oh,
impression
who is
it left.
this? Yeah, I was like, oh, who is this? Oh, some guy who commentates SM64 on occasion? Cool. Okay, he's doing SMO today? Yeah, I'm sure he'll be fine. You know, they have some parallels, and like, you honestly can just pick it up a bit and learn a bit of it.
And the narrator voice, it was not
What
fine.
is this? Yeah. Yeah, just like it's always sunny in Philadelphia. Just like, just like,
I'm going to save my dad's life. Matt kills his dad.
yeah, basically.
God, I can hear that title theme in my head, but
Yeah.
Teach developing a nice early lead in Forsaken City here. In this fourth race here, looks like Teach is going to take this clean sweep if he's able to pull off a win here, but nothing ever totally guaranteed in Celeste. You know, we could see some trouble with demo dash, Bubs drop. That could, especially if he has some issues with Bubs drop, that could waste a considerable amount of time. And we didn't really touch on it, but he did miss Bubs drop once in that last race. So, you know, maybe a little bit of inconsistency going on. And so both these guys now in old site. Talked before about the just nice aesthetics of the old site. Moose having that kind of interesting dash there. As Tej making his way really cleanly into this. I really, really love that room with the double dream blocks because of, like, the first one you do that really, really sweet diagonal movement, and then the second time you just straight sweep right through. Tej starting out this battle and chase. Nice, precise movement. And these guys make it look really, really easy, but if you watch really closely, you can see like a lot of little things that they're doing to make sure that Battlein isn't in their way. And Tej ending up messing up the movement. And so they're actually synchronized now. Moose with a mild lead. Let's see how Tej is able to take control here. If he's able to. Tej actually a bit behind looking at the timers. It's a little bit difficult to identify exact leads in this game sometimes due to the in-game time being used. But Moose actually has probably a good 4 or 5 second lead over Tej at the moment. Let's see when both these guys end up hitting that zone for the awake section. Moose losing some speed there. Moose hitting that at 3:06. Tej probably going to be hitting it somewhere close to 3:18. Yeah, so about a 12-second deficit at the moment for Tej. Pretty unexpected to see this early on in a race, but they haven't made it into Resort yet, which could definitely change a lot if Tej is able to play really, really consistently. And so 327 to 336, it looks like. Oh, 337. So a 10-second deficit for Tej going into Resort. Now Moose is going to be doing some nice dash movement here, taking advantage of this actually is used by a couple of the Crystal Hearts, namely the one in the old site chapter. Every time you change the screen transition, you get your dash back. And so these guys take advantage of that to go ahead and get off of the ground in the previous screen transition and then pick up the key with another dash.
Wait a second. That's a very good point. I think they misspelled your misspelling of electric.
They did! Allergic.
Allergic.
I never saw that. Wow. I guess I deserve it. I deserve a little bit of shade.
Yeah.
So we'll end up getting that T and R switched around here in just a second.
Honestly, like at this point, I should just call you a Pokemon, just like Eletic at this point, Elekid point, or yeah, Eltic. Isn't that another one? Yeah, like the little bug electric Pokemon thing. Really?
Yeah, there's so many at this point. You could just like slap some letters together, and you'll probably be right.
Yeah, I know Elekid is one.
That's the first one I thought of.
Oh,
And
I'm
that
thinking.
actually-
Oh no, I'm thinking of Joltik. That's the other one I'm thinking of. Okay.
That actually used to, some people called me Ella Kid on like chat rooms and such. Oh, you're totally good, restreamer. Do not sweat it whatsoever.
Yeah, don't worry about it, Tim. That was honestly a lot funnier than
Yeah.
offensive. Like,
I mean,
it was just like whatever.
there have been plenty more cases where they've just spelled it right, just with the 3s instead of E's, and it's like, 12-year-old me would have a little bit of a disagreement there.
And with that, TGH has caught up.
Yup. Just this is wow. Just look at the comparison between those two screens. Moose just losing so much momentum compared to Tej being able to conserve so much. Tej just navigating expertly close to those dust bunnies and just wow, just stellar movement right now. And Knuckleberg summing it up best. Tej is pretty good, yeah.
Yeah, he's pretty good.
Yeah, he's an all right Celeste player, you know.
Yeah, unfortunately not. Wait, did he get the corner boost there? I think he might have.
Yeah, even if he didn't, still nice navigation through this pretty tricky laundry section.
Yeah, it's absolutely true. Like, yeah, I would love to see someone else to hold the world record position for a little bit. Like, I know Federby had it for a little bit, and I know he could take it back at one point if he just if he buckles down a lot more and just does it, or like gets past like the mind block that he has right now about it. But like, then you also just like watch TGH play, and you're like, okay, yeah, he deserves the world record right now.
Yep. Yep.
Like, I would love for someone else to have it, but it like makes total sense as to why he has it as well.
Yeah, there's just some games where like one or two specific players just really have put in the time and are just a huge cut above the rest. Another big one is like Yoshi's Story. Looking at like Den Salvato's world records, it's taken years for people to catch up to what he was able to do. It's insane. Ooh, and Moose with that first demo dash fail and a second. Tej is already through, going midway through that Oshiro chase. Moose is able to get the third try, so making it work pretty well. As Tej going to be finishing up this chapter pretty soon. So yeah, Moose starting out with a 10-second lead and going to end up probably a good 20 plus behind ultimately. That's Resort for you. That's how Resort works.
So a good part of it was honestly, TGH just had a lot of a smooth. Like, I don't think he died at all actually in that Resort. Like, that was a 412, I think.
Yeah, something like that.
Like, that's what I think that just said. That's like a 412 or something. Like, anything lower than a 415 essentially means you didn't die, and you did everything you need to do. Like, that is like, you can't really get better than that.
Yup. Yup, exactly right. And now the old woman laughing at Tej as he starts Golden Ridge here. Potentially for the final time in today's matches. So let's see how he shows this off for the fourth time today.
Yeah, the reason why Federby was able to take it is because TGH had spent so long away from any percent compared to now. Like, you know, he was just practicing another category for so long that eventually, you know, Federby took the record literally the week that TGH was just playing in GDQ. It's just like, oh.
Yep.
And that's why it also stood for so long as well, because TGH had to get back home in order to actually start practicing it again. So he wasn't anywhere near any of his equipment till like try to take it back, and then he also was out of practice with that specific category. So it's just like, oh well, I guess I'll, it'll be beaten in like a week maybe.
Yeah, just kind of saying, give me a sec, guys.
So it just stood there for 2 weeks, and I believe Flederby, like, it stood there for long enough for Flederby actually beat the record himself. Like, he essentially pulled something that TGH has done, where the record is what it is, and then he just gets a better time again.
Yep. Pretty wild that Flad was able to have that experience with Tej, just like we've been saying this whole time, just as insane as he is at this game.
It was almost like taking advantage of like the opportunity, like just like the timing and everything, and
Yeah,
that is not like that is all. Also, I just want to make that clear. That's not at all what Flederby was thinking. Like I don't know Flederby like either. Extremely at all. Like I don't know Flederby that well or anything, but I know that from what I've seen, like any game that he plays, he is that he speedruns. He is trying to be the not the best, but honestly, he's just trying to get it as fast as possible. He's not and he says it himself. He's not necessarily doing it to be first place. He's doing it because he wants to see how far he can push the game.
Yeah, and when you're motivated by self-improvement, it really allows you to go a super long way.
Yeah, like he's not thinking about like I want to get first. He's just thinking about like I know I can do this. Like.
Yeah, and it's when you're looking at like the biggest guys, like one great instance is ZFG. Like he's at the point that he is solely because of that motivation for self-improvement, not like because he just wants to keep getting world records. It's like for the most part, like I think he exclusively refers to PBs as PBs, not world records. That's not his focus at all. He just happens to be the best because of that huge focus on self-improvement.
Yeah, it's just like a lot of people just realizing like that they are capable of delivering a time like that or like whatever they're shooting for. It's just a matter of actually executing it. And
Tej with the last yeet of the day possibly,
nicely
and
done.
very nicely executed.
Yeah, honestly, Tej has a very similar mindset, and that's honestly why, like, it's pretty clear that he has that mindset too, because if anyone else was in his shoes that wasn't as dedicated as him to this game and like pushing this game as far as he wants to, instead of just like being some guy who's like, I just want to be first in this game, he would have stopped at this point. He would not be playing to beat the record that he currently has anymore. He would just be like kind of just like chilling at this point. But no, TGH is still working very hard on this game and is still trying to push it further.
Yep.
Like he's not sitting on his laurels just because he has world record and no one else can get close enough to it to really threaten him right now. He's actually still pushing it.
And Tej in the Bubstrop room as Moose going to be heading pretty close by. And a nice drop from Tej. Just really, really stellar fluid movement from him right now.
As you say that, TJ, just the spike jump there.
At least he was able to actually recover that, though, instead of having to take a death.
Yeah. I mean, like, the only way you take deaths on those spikes is if you ever start moving towards them, or essentially stop holding left.
Yeah, and there's no real reason to stop holding left at that point, or really like change anything that you're doing with the D-pad.
Oh, TJ totally wants a 27-4X. I'm pretty sure he knows he could get one too.
Yep,
Like,
he's at that level.
He's at that mindset right now, where he's like, I could get that. Like, it's just a matter of doing it.
Moose having a rough time with 5B so far, ending up taking a death just from not being able to get quite over those spikes like he wanted to.
And just by the way, I want to say that there's probably a lot of SMO runners that are of that same mindset. It's just right now, at least, the reason why a lot of them have stopped is because of just how hard it was to get sub-hour.
Oh yeah.
Like the reason why Nikoro hasn't touched any percent since he got the sub-hour is because of how much stress he put himself under just to get that time.
Yeah. And it's really amazing seeing what he said come to fruition, that after the first sub-hour, the others were going to just roll right in.
Yeah.
Now we've got, I think, 4 total people that have gotten sub-hour, one of them during a GSA race.
Yep. That was a fun day.
I had the opportunity to comm for that, and I was like, I've been doing a lot of comms recently, and I think I was like maybe busy with something else. I can't even remember, but I definitely regret not taking that spot.
Too bad it's mine.
Hype.
It's mine. I took it.
Must have been just an insane race for you.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of it was me just not knowing what to say. I was at a loss for words for a good portion of that commentary session. Like, I was just the second race and the third race. I was just like, I at the end, towards the endings, I was just like, I don't know, like, how to express what I'm feeling right now.
Yep. And Moose ending up taking a kind of rough death to losing Theo in this room, as Tej entering the reflection chapter.
And yeah, Moose struggling with this right now as well.
You know, he struggled with this in the last set as well, or the last race rather.
I mean, understandable. It's a difficult chapter. Theo's a difficult area of this chapter. Oh, okay. Managed to... No, okay, spoke too soon.
Yeah, nearly saving that, but Commentators mid-sentence curse in full effect, it seems.
No, that was just really difficult to recover.
Oh yeah, like,
that wasn't me. It was just like... I don't even blame that on me, honestly. I would have been more amazed if he managed to figure out how to survive that, because
I mean, same, but you know, I'll never refuse an opportunity to point out a potential commentator's curse.
Of course not.
Nice bumper movement from Tej as he's approaching the battle and fight. Ooh, taking that death on the spikes instead of the lake skip here. Just cannot seem to get that spike jump out for whatever reason. Finally able to get the lake skip here. Definitely an unfortunate way to start off reflection proper. Yeah, FC Racers with the ideal reaction in chat. Although I think he's reacting to something else.
Yeah, Nightbot seems to be broken right now.
Yeah, maybe Nightbot took a little nighty-night nap. Who knows? And the same thing actually happened in my chat last night. Like, it just stopped responding to things, and it was still in the room, but I had to make it leave and come back, and then it started working again. Nice bear block movement so far from these guys. As Tej with that nice high speed going into the battle and fight. It seems everyone's Nightbot having a couple of issues for some reason.
Well, it's all the same robot, so that makes sense.
Yeah, true. Ooh, and Moose almost getting past that bumper, but ending up just overshooting the crystal just a little bit. And yeah, pretty significant deficit. It's looking like Tej is going to end up taking this race as well to end up sealing off the match. Nice boost, though, from Moose, as Tej pulling off some nice hits on battle in here. And so Tej getting pretty close to the end of battling. 1845 or so for his text box there. Yes, commentators everywhere at all times.
You can't escape us.
You know, we're not actually like humans. We're just AI.
Yeah.
And can just go between any system that we want to at any point in time. We have no physical being.
That's why SBL started to sound like a computer earlier. Like some of us don't have as sophisticated AI as others quite yet, so like our voices just aren't fully developed.
Yeah, some more akin to a Mr. Destructoid, unfortunately. Just like Tej's gameplay, it's certainly beyond human tier, it seems, as he goes ahead and picks up that level up and moves to finish out Reflection.
I mean, what? We're not robots.
Totally not robots.
No.
Beep,
I eat human food.
I listen to human music.
Yeah, I've heard of this like great, like I do this great thing every night. It's called, I sleep. I think I use like a pillow or something.
Yeah, that seems about right to me. And so Tej gonna be starting off Summit here, basically right at 20 minutes. Pretty nice time for a race. Huh. I like it. I was about to say very nice initial movement. Tej having a little bit of an issue with those wall jumps there. And no FC racers. Unfortunately, he found out that he was not going to be able to attend pace at all, so ended up dropping his spot.
Yeah, because that's totally how you spell electric.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Seems right to me. I mean, I don't see anything wrong with it. Right, FC. I'm not sure exactly what the situation was, but there was something that he had to do that was going to prevent him from going altogether. Tej with that kind of interesting spike death there.
Essentially, as the rules state, if you can't come to pace, you can't compete.
Yeah, kind of unfortunate.
So once that was figured out, it was just like, yeah, it is unfortunate. So once it was figured out, it was just like, yeah, sorry, but rules. And it was just like, it just makes sense anyway. Like, if he made it to the top 4, what are we supposed to do at that point?
Yeah, just have a remote race or something.
No, it does suck too, because I do want to meet Nero. Like, it does. He seems like a great guy. I honestly just like meeting international like speedrunners in general. Like, I'm very excited to meet Limcube and like just people who are like coming from a very long distance away just to come to this one event. It just like feels really cool.
Oh yeah, I'm looking forward to meeting everyone. Like I am so excited for Pace already. It's gonna be so amazing. And so Tej in 1500 at the moment, making some really steady progress through Summit. Necroveda better run Wii Sports at pace. Well, you can go check out the exhibition games list and see if that's on there.
I don't believe
think
it
you might
is.
be a little bit disappointed, unfortunately.
It's not
But,
on there.
There are plenty of really, really great games, though, to compensate. As I kind of mentioned before, I'm really, really hyped to see the Kirby Nightmare and Dreamland run, and also that ZFG Hondo Faster Quest run. Both of those are just gonna be so hype.
I'm offended.
Why?
You're not hyped for my run.
Oh, Owlboy is gonna be so great too. I'm sorry that slipped my mind for a moment. Well, I mean, I also didn't mention Pokemon.
As it
Let's
does
Go. That's
for
gonna
a
be a
lot
super
of
cool
people.
run.
It's okay. Owlboy slips a lot of people's minds. It's okay.
Well, to be
Okay,
fair,
get
I
a
still
lot.
haven't played Owlboy myself. It's just the footage of it
Welcome.
looked really, really cool.
Yeah, I know. Many people haven't gotten to play Owlboy, like I just said. You know, it slipped a lot of people's radars.
It was kind of unfortunate that it came out like in the real huge indie game season, like along with Celeste. How was it? Like, it's a really, really great game, but unfortunately, it was just so hard to compete.
Yeah,
I'm
you're
hyped
right.
for everyone's run. I just named 2. Leave me alone. Commentator getting bullied in the booth, ultimately.
I mean, like, honestly though, he's playing Celeste. He's already playing a game that's already gonna be in the thing. Like, I am more hype for the top 4 than I am for his run.
Ooh, the shade. Ouch.
But honestly, I'm more hyped for the top 4 of a lot of these games than I am for anyone's run, even my own. Really. Although that's gonna be a lot of fun. So, it's gonna be a lot of fun to do my showcase. FC bringing up the great point. It's hard to be hyped about something you can't see. I don't know if you're aware of what FC is actually doing at pace, so.
Oh, he's doing a blindfolded Celeste run?
No, he's doing a invisible run.
Oh, that's right. Okay. I remember it having some interesting little quirk.
If you go into, yeah, I'm wondering what an invisible run is. If you go into if you activate variants, it's this little thing called variants. It's kind of like assist mode, but there's a thing called variants, which, you know, different ways of like making the game more interesting. And one of those things is invisible while moving. So, anytime you start moving, your character sprite isn't there anymore.
And so you have to just repeatedly stop in order to see where your position is, and obviously that's slow. And so FC is going to be trying to do as much of the game as possible while moving invisibly.
Yeah, there are some indications as to where your character is, just on like little things like the dust particles and dash particles and stuff, and like essentially all like when
Bailey ran Darker Side at GDQ and he did the Dark Side boss rush with the invisible cap.
Yeah, so like essentially that sort of thing where like there's still like a bunch of indications that exist to tell you where you are on the screen. You know, it's just a lot harder.
Yeah, you don't have a visual indicator as obvious as this little sprite of a red-haired girl with the repeated like comet-like dash trails.
Yeah, and of course you're going to try and not stop moving because that's where the fun is of that category.
Yeah. I mean, what's the point of speedrunning if you're not going to go fast? Siege with some real nice flags movement so far.
And, yep, it looks like TJ is going to be getting another casual 28.
Yeah, a really nice one, too. It's a little bit hard to see the flag numbers as they go by. I know he's closer to the end, but...
He's at flag number 3. This is 3, right?
Okay. That's what I was thinking. I always recognize this section, but for some reason...
Yeah, for good reference, Once you hit flag number 5, that takes about 50 seconds. So
Ah, I see.
that's how you could know. So right now he's got about, you know, he'll definitely make it there before hitting 20.
And meanwhile, Moose still making his way through the Mirror Temple section of this climb. As Tej gets to the summit with a 28-20. And GG's and congrats for Tej securing his spot in the semifinals and possibly grand finals at pace. Yeah, let's get some GG's in the chat from everyone. That is really, really sweet.
Yeah, GG's.
And we'll see if we can get these guys in for interviews. Gonna watch Moose go ahead and finish out his 3,000 meter climb.
Yeah. You know, whether or not people thought this was gonna happen, it's still like a big thing to like be knowing for sure that you're going to pace. So whether or not people saw this coming, it's still like, you know, it's still definitely something to applaud.
Yep, definitely. Oop. Moose taking that unfortunate little spike death there. And Tej gonna go ahead and wait for Moose to finish.
Yeah, just the respectable move.
Just such a great sport overall. Shout out to Tej.
Yes, you know, sometimes it makes sense, like if we don't have time to doing an interview and watch the person finish, then it's fine. But if we got the time like we do right now, sure. Just
Yeah, may as well ultimately.
it definitely is the polite thing to do because, you know, Moose works hard at this game as well, and he's still doing pushing out a very respectful time. It is difficult to be getting a 30xx like he's about to do, or actually might be higher than that. I believe this is actually going to be probably a 31, maybe a 32.
Yeah, hoping 31. If he doesn't make any more major mistakes, then that's... Oh, as soon as I say that...
That wasn't that major of a mistake, though.
Yeah, but still, it was a mistake, costing him a couple of seconds.
Yeah.
The commentator's curse doesn't always have to just be a devastating minute loss failure. Moose with the nice climb here. Moving on up to flag number 6. As Tej, you know, initially we thought he was being polite by waiting for the interview, but it seems that he's actually just chosen to start it in chat. Little bit of an interesting move.
Yeah.
And first question for Tej, pho or ramen? What would your answer be?
Pho or ramen? That's actually a very difficult choice. I probably pho.
Yeah, honestly, I'd have to say ramen, ultimately.
It's just because pho just seems like a better, in general, like when with pho, it's just like, it seems like more of a special occasion than ramen. Like ramen,
That's
you're just
fair.
like always eating it, but pho, I could actually be like, I'm going out tonight, I'm gonna eat some pho.
That's fair. And Moose pulling out a 31-30 to finish out this match set. So GG's. And let's go ahead and check and see.
Yeah.
Moose, unfortunately, not able to join for an interview, but we do have Tej in the call. Not sure. He was in the call with his headset deafened.
No,
so...
he's definitely here.
I'm here.
Oh,
yeah.
hello
I'm
now.
now. Hello. I can hear everything you guys are saying.
Yeah.
Oh, well then.
No, I knew. So congratulations on getting into pace, TGA.
Thank you, and GG Moose as well. Let me just type. Jeez. But yeah, absolutely. GG to Moose. And thanks, guys. Very much appreciated.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much. I mean, stellar gameplay. Those 28s. I mean, geez. What do you think is really allowed you to reach that level of consistency, like in races like that?
Well, it's it's funny. Like when I got back from AGDQ, I started developing a mindset for my practice, not just to like grind for times, but to build consistency and like actually make myself a better player than I was before. And that's worked wonders for my consistency. Just doing no reset after no reset. Like I honestly I can't remember the last time I reset an any percent run. Like barring like dying in prologue or something like that, which I have done quite a bit, but we don't talk about those.
Yeah, of course not.
But yeah, like it's it just goes to show that like that sort of mentality works, at least for me. I feel like it can work for others too, but for me, it's definitely worked, and I'm pretty happy with that.
Yeah, I mean, the progress has certainly been shown. When you go look at that spreadsheet of your times, the like at first, look a little bit shaky, but over time with those no resets, the average has just continually gone down and gotten more and more consistent.
It's funny how
Now,
that works, right?
right?
Mm.
Yeah, so like it's that's exactly it. Like it's like you said, like once I started really focusing on that sort of regimen, that's when the time started to drop and get really consistent. And I don't know what the highest time was, uh, like after I started doing that. Like the highest time for me in the tournament was probably like 29:20 or something. Um, but yeah, like uh, the average definitely went way way down with that, and that was the goal, and so that's just uh, where I am now, and I'm pretty happy with that.
Yeah. So with
Well, certainly great to hear. Now that you've secured that spot and pace, first off, what are you going to be doing over the coming couple of weeks to make sure you're as prepared as possible? And two, uh, what do you think about the competition? Is there anyone that you're a little bit, apprehensive about facing? Is there anyone that you feel like could certainly usurp your throne? Like, what's going through your head at the moment?
I'm just looking forward to the event in general, honestly. So like, yeah, as far as like what I'm gonna do before pace, I would say I don't know, just keep doing what I'm doing. Honestly, like keep playing the game. I don't want to play the game too much, but like just keep playing and keep on like focusing on that improvement and the consistency. But like obviously at pace, it's gonna be the top four or top three. I'm actually not sure who's able to attend pace, but it's gonna be all top runners. So I gotta be on my game like at all times. So like it's always nerve wracking. Like this race too was nerve wracking because I knew what it meant, uh, and these matches were so. Uh, like I'm just really really excited and really happy to be attending, and it's gonna be a great experience.
Oh, certainly agreed. And I've been looking forward to it for months already. And I believe the only one that wasn't able to attend pace was unfortunately Nero.
Yeah,
But everyone else in the bracket
I
should be
found
able.
that out earlier today, and I was kind of heartbroken because
yeah. So essentially,
I
what happened with like the setup for it is instead of having narrow, it's essentially just going to be the top 9, not like the top 8 that don't include narrows. So ninth place of the pools actually is in the brackets right now as well.
okay, all
So
right,
4
that's interesting.
people are still going to be coming to pace. It's just narrow isn't in the competition for these 8
Okay,
players.
okay,
And funny enough, that ninth seed was actually a Moose. So even though he was in the bracket, that last win did end up eliminating him. But what are you thinking about like after you've seen the recent performances from Flad and Chai Kitty and Sushi? Like, out of those and really everyone in the bracket, is there anyone that you're kind of thinking if anyone has a shot at you, it's definitely this guy?
it'd be a challenge to go up against anybody at this point, to be honest with you. Especially Like, you know, Flad obviously is like probably I would say like we're not rivals at all, but like, you know, he's certainly a force to be reckoned with, and like so is everybody else. You know, I don't want to say too much about that, but you know, and like you mentioned Shy Kitty, like I don't know what his PB was at the beginning of this tournament, but he like I said near the beginning of this tournament, like watch out for this guy, watch out for Shy Kitty because he's going to be up and coming, he's going to be right there, and he's absolutely a huge force to be reckoned with right now. I think he's at 2830 now.
Yeah.
And I think his PB at the beginning of pace might not even was it even sub 30? I think he had like a 29 something, maybe a high 29. But yeah, he's improved a lot, and it's cool to see. It's cool to see competitions like this making, you know, the community more driven towards their craft, and it's pretty sweet.
Definitely more competition. Really, it's really great with speedrunning because ultimately the competition is really just to drive the time as low as possible. It's not like I want to get the best time just to beat everyone else. It's literally just I want to be the one to optimize the game as much as possible.
Yeah.
And so that like collaborative competition is just so cool to me. Now I definitely did want to go ahead and check into how's the controller situation going because that's been kind of a little bit of an ongoing thing for anyone that's been watching your stream.
It's good. You know, I've realized you know, what's best is what's tried and tested. And you know, I've been looking into like different controllers and stuff like that, but I think ultimately I'm just going to decide on what I've been used to this whole time, and I think that's going to be the best shot. But yeah, it's definitely been interesting. It's been frustrating, but recently I had a kind of you know, just like a little mental tick. Like, it sounds crazy to like describe it as like a realization or something like that, but it's just been like a little mental tick that, you know, changes everything. Like, especially like at this level, the tiniest change in like a physical position that you're in can change literally everything about the way you play. And it's kind of amazing, actually, and that's why I think, you know, I've played my best with this controller, and I'm gonna stick with it. So
Well, I mean, if this series of races was any indication, it certainly looks like it's going to work for you, and definitely glad to hear that it's kind of started to be resolved. Hearing you say, you know, like I feel like I can do better with this controller, but it feels like trash. You know, it's a real predicament to have been in. So definitely glad to hear that that's kind of working itself out.
yep, that's pretty much what the situation's been. You know, like there are, and I have no doubt that there are controllers I could be faster with, but I very highly doubt that there's going to be a controller that I'm more consistent with. And that's what this is for me. It's my baby, my consistency controller, so so to speak. But yeah,
Well, all right. Troy, did you have any more questions for Tej before we went ahead and let him go?
Honestly, I could speak to you for hours, but I don't want to do that.
I
um,
I
we
guess
could sit down over some pho or ramen
yeah,
and
definitely. Like
and yeah,
we'll go
and
out to eat
just
when we see each other at pace. We definitely will, because like you seem like just a great guy to hang out with. So
yeah, dude, I'm
probably
looking
will.
forward to it.
you know, I'm curious what FC Racer's other 20 questions would have been, but
I mean, I do kind of like that one that FC gave in the chat of being like how different do you think like it's gonna be to have to race in that live setting like that?
That's a really good question, and I feel like I've had experience with that from GDQs and stuff. Uh, Except I think personally, it's probably going to be a little bit easier than GDQs have been in the past because I don't have to talk. I would assume I don't have to talk.
Right.
Yeah,
that's what we'll be there for, fortunately.
yeah,
Yeah,
like
but
honestly, I've done 5 runs for GDQs. Last 5 GDQs I've done runs for, and uh, for 2 of them I didn't have to talk, and for the other 3 I had to talk. And guess which ones I was infinitely more nervous for.
fair. I could see
Yeah,
that, but it's definitely like the fact that there's money on the line for this is like where I think it could like, but and just like the audience and everything just being there. Like, I mean, like it's hard to say like who to side with. Like there's a lot of like factors there, I would think, that
At the end of the day,
exist with
though,
GDQ, but like still different.
at the end of the day, though, you know, there'll be a slight adjustment period, I feel, but it's still just playing the game. You know, and I feel like I've also played for money before, so it's like with Twitch rivals and stuff like that. So it's, you know, there's experience there too, but ultimately at the end of the day, you know, you're still just playing the game and trying to do as well as you can and trying to shove everything else out of the head.
Yeah, and that's I think a lot of people undervalue just how much of speedrunning is just fighting what's in your head, fighting the like potential toxic mentality. And
Yeah, absolutely. Like I think people don't realize like how mental it can be at this stage, and it really is.
Yeah, like a good portion of why people haven't gotten sub 20 other than you is actually because of the mental roadblock it causes.
I can probably agree with that, yeah, actually. Because like I honestly, I don't think I'm more like physically skilled or talented or anything like that more than anybody else in the community who's a top runner. Like, you know, it's just like the mindset and this how you go about thinking about your run. And you know, it's and at the end of the day, it's the person who like can deal with that sort of pressure. And you know, that's so important.
Right.
absolutely. Well, one last little curiosity. Been noticing you rocking all red berries recently on your stream.
Mhm.
After pace, what are you planning on messing around with? Are you going to be doing that category, maybe some other Celeste category, maybe even going back to Genocide Undertale for world record?
I hate you for that last one. So after pace, I'm probably gonna put the game down for a little bit, maybe a couple of weeks or so. This is a big probably. I know I'm way too obsessed with this game to know I'm gonna do that right now. But yeah, as far as that goes, like I definitely do intend on focusing more on the berry categories. The only reason I really haven't been is because of pace, and I wanted like the thing with berries is like I can run all chapters, and I have run all chapters, but all red berries can really screw up your any percent muscle memory just because like you know I'm sure you've seen it. I'm sure like the viewers and commentators have seen it. People who have gone and run ARB have maybe gotten like 6 or 7 berries in an any percent run for pace just because their their habits and their muscle memory are like just right there for ARB, and like you know that can be detrimental. So I haven't really done too much of it, and I'm kind of reluctant to do too much of it. But after pace, it's go time for that. So I'm excited for that.
Yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to it because the berries certainly add just a lot of really, really cool movement to optimize throughout the run.
And with
It's
you saying that, by the way, sorry, if
no,
you
it's
want to
no.
finish yours. I was gonna say,
I was just gonna say it's like it's definitely like the most movement intensive category for sure in the game.
right. So I was just gonna say that, like, with that in mind, I could totally see it happening where, like, you're like, yeah, I'm gonna rest for 2 weeks and then not play Celeste at all, and then they release Chapter 9 or something like that.
Oh, Matt, please. Matt, wait a few weeks, please. But yeah, I'm hyped for Chapter 9. If Chapter 9 releases the day after pace, I mean, you know exactly what I'm going to be doing the day after
Yeah.
pace. So like, it's you know like just my willpower isn't that strong. Okay,
Whose is,
it's
honestly?
strong, but it's not that strong.
No, I totally agree. I would absolutely be on the same wavelength. Like, I instantly just like, oh, they released Chapter 9. Like, if they released it during pace, I think I would actually just like,
I would go home.
yeah.
I'd go home and play it.
Just
No,
the
not really.
grand
I
finals
wouldn't
comes
do
up. So sorry everyone, we're gonna have to cancel.
that.
Or alternatively, this is now a blind Chapter 9 race.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was gonna suggest. Just make it Chapter 9.
I mean, it would kind of prove who's the best at like just general movement in Celeste. But Well, one last time, GG's Tej, just absolutely stellar runs today, and congrats on securing that spot at pace. Definitely
Thank
well
you.
deserved.
Thanks, guys. I appreciate it. I'm really excited for it.
And
I'll see you guys there.
yeah,
Yeah,
it's
it'd be fun.
definitely looking forward to it. And for all those watching, don't go anywhere just yet. We do have a really, really awesome run coming up. It is a race between CLG's Cheese and Toast Rider. That's coming up at 10 p.m. EST. I am so hyped for that. Like, just to show you how much other people are hyped for it, the second that anyone announced that, hey, there's a commentator spot open, Simply himself just sniped it instantly. It's going to be a pretty great race, I'm sure, and I hope to see as many of you there watching it as possible. I know I'll be there for sure. But if you can't stick around for that, thanks so much for coming by for these Celeste matches. Tomorrow we've got Malay versus Msushi at 5 p.m. EST, followed by 2 rounds of Flad versus Black Pair at 7 and 9 EST. So lots of Celeste action tomorrow. One last time, I'm Electric, Troy of Athens. It's been a pleasure coming with you.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun. I enjoyed it. Yeah, so thank you everyone for watching. Stick around, I guess, for in like 2 hours roughly. For that SM64 run.
It
Race.
should be really, really hype. And catch all of you around. Peace.